Welcome everyone to day 2 of the European side of the Wingman Season 9 Open League. I'm Toby, joined by Saint, and we have got Hayes hopefully joining us. We'll have to
feel a bit under the weather.
We'll have to see allergies and all that. We'll have to see if he's going to join us. I assume he's going to join us at some point, but he better join us because we are in for a long day, but a joyous day. 12 games if you're going to watch the NA side as well. It's going to be 6 games of Miramar. We'll talk about the schedule and all that in just a moment. But going back to our Sanok games, we saw double back-to-back chicken dinner winners on EU Open. You said winning on Sanok, that's difficult. Back-to-back, nah, ain't never gonna happen. 2 teams got back-to-back wins on 6 games.
Yeah, that is the survival map. And Miramar and Erangel, there's much more possibility to be consistent on points generally. But that's often because you can get a lot of kills going. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of the more established players sort of really start to rack up a lot of points tonight in particular.
So if I told you that the teams that got a lot of points were also the established ones on Sanok,
they're going to be looking really good after today, I think.
It was a very interesting thing. I think it was No Tag Team got themselves a double, and Elkiganten got themselves a double as well. Very, very impressive play by both of them. And then, of course, for those of you guys who were watching NA Pro yesterday, Sonic's Black.
What was it?
They got a second. They got a second place. That's been decent. Then they get 3 wins in a row after that on Sanok. I mean, that's
making
practically not repeatable.
A bit stupid, really. But,
it's absurd. Tickleson and Keenan, 3 wins in a row on Sanok in duos. That's insane.
Yeah, the weird thing was it was like individual performances every game. Like one of them would have all the kills one game, and then the next game the other one would do it. But tonight is I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at teams like Vasco and T-Bone, who really should be fragging in this.
Yeah, they caught themselves sometimes in some tricky situations on Sanok. But let's look at the schedule, guys, and see exactly how today will unfold and the tournament overall as well. We've finished off Sanok, that was a few days back, and now we're headed over to Miramar. 6 games of those nice sandy desert map coming for you today. Then we're gonna head over to Erangel coming in a couple of days from now, and then the finals, the top 16 of these guys will be going up against CAS plus Turkey's best 16 on all 3 maps once again. So no Vikendi, we're leaving that one out for now.
I'm a little bit sad about that. I do like seeing a bit of Vikendi just because of how rare it is. But Miramar, I think we were talking about it earlier about how it's actually really good for duos.
It is.
Probably the best map for duos.
That's my thought of these. I mean, I know there are a lot of different opinions on it, but to me, Miramar is probably the best duo map. It's not, I mean, I like it for squads too, don't get me wrong. I just think for duos, there's so many ways you can get, like, you have so much more of a chance to decide how you want to play.
For sure, yeah.
As opposed to Sanok, where more often than not, you get kind of thrown into situations. Point system, or prize pool, I should say, as well, 10,000 on top. I mean, we don't need to go into detail with all the numbers here. It's just overall, there's a hell of a lot of money on the line.
Yeah, and it's very weighted towards the top as well.
Yes.
So, you really need to be doing well in every game if you want to be making a decent amount of money from this.
Exactly.
I wouldn't mind that 10,000.
Oh, no, I could come up with some things I could use that for as well. On top of the regular prize pool, we're getting the finals. We have also added, and that's new to Season 9, we've added the group state, or the league winning prize pool, I guess you can say, here for the Open League. It's $1,500 that's just for making it to the final in first place. So sometimes we've seen these teams that are kind of already guaranteed, not really care too much to continue to play as good as they can, I guess you can say. But now, with an extra chunk of money on the line there, they might want to be fighting for that first place spot anyway.
Yeah, and it's 18 games. So if you're finishing first after 18 games, that's mightily impressive. And I like the fact that this season we're rewarding people for that. Because, occasionally you go into the finals and you just have an off night. It's 2 nights to the finals. So, one game goes badly and then suddenly it's really, or one day rather, it's really difficult getting up to the top of that leaderboard. So if you're doing consistently well in the league, you're already cementing yourself a bit of that prize pool.
Exactly. Hopefully we'll get to see some teams deserve their top spots. Point system, pretty straightforward. It's as close as we can get to the regular squad Pro League format super settings. It's just stretched out a bit, as we talked about yesterday for the duos here. 13th and down, 0 placement points, and then the 1 point per kill.
Yeah, it's very kill heavy, and it's a very kill heavy game mode in general. Just the amount of teams in the lobby makes it normally quite hard to consistently place at the top, although a bunch of teams keep doing it for some reason. But normally you're looking at like 1 or 2 top 5 placements if you're one of the top teams in a night, and the rest of your points are coming from those kills. So, but the point system really rewards aggression, which is something we don't actually see often in EU.
As you say that, I feel like when we were watching the Open or the Pro EU Wingman, they actually were. I mean, especially when you see like a solo left remaining. We saw Menax do it, we saw James, insane performance in that game for him. Now it was Sanok. And I think that's way different because you can make those sneaky peeky, use the foliage to advantage. You don't really have a lot of that on Miramar, so more often than not, those opponents, unless you're in the city or sharing a compound with people, they'll see you coming a bit further away.
Yeah, realistically, pretty much every gunfight on Sanok is within about 50 to 100 meters.
Yeah.
At most. Whereas you come to Miramar and your average gunfight's going to be like 100 to 200 meters.
It's not even more than that.
Yeah. So, this is an opportunity where really keeping both players alive is crucial to those sort of mid to late game gunfights. But I would like to see some people, if you do lose your teammate early, try and find like a position where you can sort of bait a duo in and just turn it into that 1v1 by getting the initial ambush working successfully. And then a 1v1's pretty much 50-50.
It could be quite interesting to see a statistic on, like, if you're a statistics data nerd out there, I would like to see, in these duos in general, these tournament formats, how often does the duo that gets to fire the first bullet win the fight? Because if you get that first player down pretty much instantly, not only do the second player have to figure out where are the opponents, he also has to kind of react to it, right? And that can be both of them down, essentially.
And there's often, we see, it's about when you fire that first bullet, because sometimes people go for that initial spray where the person's not quite in a position where you can actually get the knock. And that often means that you give away your position and the other duo just turns around and kills you. So it's all about finding the right timing to take the gunfight and then getting that initial knock to turn it into a 2v1 and then a free 2 points.
Also, I'm curious to see on Miramar in particular, because we talk about how that's the rotation map and it's so like big open strides. And you want to use vehicles. Now, we made the argument the other day that it's easier to drive in duos because you won't have 4 guys shooting at you. Like, if you're sharing one vehicle, you won't have those 4 guys on the team shooting at you. But at the same time, odds are you'll be driving past that many more individual teams. So does that make it easier or hard? I can't really tell.
I think it really depends on how far you're rotating. Because if you're driving somewhere where you can see that it's clear, then you know that even if you pull up there with a low HP car, you're going to be all right. But if you're taking that long-range rotation, and you drive past the duo and your car gets put to half HP, then you're in a really tough spot when you're trying to pull up somewhere. Exactly.
So essentially, you want, I kind of want to say at least 2 cars. I mean, you want to have a chance to like go down roads where you can maybe swap them even if you get a tire popped or if you start taking some damage to it as well. Just in general, try to avoid being in the blue for too long. I mean, we've seen so many times where in duos in particular, because you have so many more teams, there's so many more compounds that are taken like everywhere on the map. Of course, kind of depending on where the game ends, but just compounds where in squads you'd say, that's probably not taken. It's kind of on the edge. There will be players there in duos because Circle 2, Circle 3, there won't be more than those maybe 20 compounds in the circle. And therefore, I mean, teams that don't want to fight, they'll be sitting in them. I mean, it's not going to be easy to just get for free here.
Yeah, and that's where the success of your aggression comes in handy. Because realistically, once you get to that sort of third circle, you just have to make direct rotations. So if you need to get into the zone, it's probably a 95% chance you're going to have to go through a team. And your ability to pull up on that, your ability to get the initial knock is pretty much what's going to turn your maybe 20th place into a top 10 or a top 5.
Now, that's for an interesting question. How many, if we were to do percentage on a 62-team duo lobby, how many do you think, percentage-wise, would go for center early on? Like, how many play center and how many play reactive on the edge?
I would say it depends where the circle goes, to put a bit of a caveat.
That's an easy answer.
But if you get a circle with a lot of teams that are already in phase 1, then you see probably like half the server is going for those deep rotations into the middle. Whereas if you get like a milli circle or a far north circle on Miramar, all those teams that are down towards the south, they just don't have the time to get to the circle. So we see a lot of wide rotations around the edges of the map towards sort of the northern edge, if it's a northern shift, or if it's a southern shift, the southern edge, where people sort of try to follow the edge of the map. And that's when you see a lot of people just being forced to play the edge just by the way that the circle shifts. And those games sort of turn into more of a, like, 30% of the teams are in the middle, and then the rest are sort of being forced to find their way in.
That sounds about right to me. You have Around 1/3 of the teams kind of trying to play the center, and everyone else a little scattered around. Not necessarily on the edge, but not really committing so hard to try and get center positions. Because we saw it on Sanok too, where teams actually had chances to take some of those pretty valuable center compounds, but they're like, you know what, if we're gonna sit in here, we talked about how kill heavy the point system is. If we take this center compound, we might get top 5 in placements, but we're going to be going into it without any kills, and if we then go down, that's only going to be 3 or 4 points our way. Could we have gotten more by playing a little more towards the edge? And some teams actually preferred having the center position and then back out and go away to try and fight on the edge rather than just sitting in the middle. Yeah,
one thing we saw last night in Wingman Pro NA was Lazarus. I think they had the second most placement points out of all the teams. But because they just were taking center compounds every time, I think they kept losing individuals, and then the other player would just run into the middle of the map and just hide for the whole game. And because they only had 7 kills across the 6 maps, they only finished like 8th or 9th.
Yeah, if not even lower than that. I think it was around, probably around there. It was, I want to say that a team with a lot of placement points but no kill points will always sit lower in these tournament formats than a team with a lot of kill points but no placement points.
Yeah, but you have to have some placement points.
Well, obviously, you don't want to go outside 13th all the time.
Yeah, if you are consistently getting kills, if one of your 6 games on a night is like a top 5 or maybe even just like a top 8, as long as you're getting like 4 or 5 kills a game, you're actually going to be in a really good position, because we see it generally on the leaderboard. Like 2 or 3 teams pull ahead to like 40 points.
Yeah.
And then the gap like 3rd to sort of 8th is really close, and you're around like 30-ish points.
True. Let's see the teams playing in today's tournament. These are the scores coming in after 6 Sanok games played. We are 1/3 of the way through. No Tag sitting in first, El Giganten right behind them, and they were the 2 teams with the double chicken dinner, so obviously they're going to be a little further up ahead. Grim though. The Grim Ravens, 29 kills already. They had 9 kills in the very first game on Sanok, and they actually didn't even die because they got killed. They died because one disconnected. The last player alive disconnected and couldn't get back to the game. That's unfortunate, of course. Hopefully that won't happen to anyone today. But they were out there fragging. I think they were doing, since you can see like the amount of placement points they have, I think they were doing exactly what you were talking about, saying how, you know what, this is Sanok. Let's just see how much we can scavenge here. And then, I mean, they are Ravens after all. Try and scavenge as much as we can, and then bring whatever we have from here over to Miramar and Erangel and play accordingly.
Yeah, I keep calling Sanok the sort of the salvage map. The map where you don't necessarily... a lot of the time, your points come from being in a nice position in Phase 1. And if you're not in a nice position in Phase 1, it's all about, can I get like 3-4 kills, die? And Ravens were a team that did that consistently. If they didn't get a favourable circle, they just went and killed a bunch of people in the lobby.
So as Megas and his teammate have to keep an eye on what they can do here. Now that there's a bit more distance to it, a lot of their kills came from up-close battles and picking off players early. We'll see if that's the kind of play style I'll go for now that we make our way over to Miramar. But plane is in the sky. Game number 7 is on our way. And as you said before, 6 games to be played today, this one being the first.
Yeah, Miramar is a map where a lot of people get killed on rotation, particularly in squads, and slightly less so in duos. But there's often because the power positions in the map that are in the middle tend to be high ground. They tend to be positions where you can see a lot of the map. So I want to see teams favouring that sort of the central playstyle a bit more tonight. Maybe teams like Grim Ravens might struggle just because of the way they were playing Sanok. If they try and bring that into this map, I think they won't do as well. And we'll see perhaps the teams that do make that initial deep rotation probably do slightly better tonight.
I think one of the main things for me... Oh, there's a lot of people in San Martino. Am I wrong?
There's at least 3-4 duos.
At least 3 duos. Seems like as Megas and his teammate go down towards Jester. Oh, no, BenQ and Sharon, they're going out east. It's pretty decently split. I mean, I think like Meisters and Maro is flying south, and Meisters is getting a vehicle. Though don't think he's opted to fight. Then the circle's going south. So despite all the teams... Well, at least a lot of them lining up on the northern side. They'll have to make their transition south at some point.
Yeah, and the one big feature of this map, particularly when it comes to the south, is this sort of the central area of the map where it's really high up. And there's a lot of sort of very steep angles that are really hard to drive up. So often, if you can't get up there in Phase 1, you're pretty much screwed, because as you're driving up, you're going so slow. If you have like 4 or 5 duos just shooting at you, your car's going to get blown up.
Pretty much.
I want to see a lot of the teams that are already in the circle, sort of your Picardo and South, if they try and make that initial deep rotation, they won't get many points early game. But when it comes to that late game, if they do get the favourable circles, they're going to be in a really strong spot.
Yeah, from the edge of, like, I guess you can say from the western edge of Los Leones, pretty much all the way down to Monte Nuevo, or up to Monte Nuevo, you have this uphill, like, mountain, or this ridge line going up, which teams that sit on the northern side from it will have no way of scouting what's in the south. And, well, I mean, that's going to be one of many kind of roadblocks to have to fight your way through if you want to get anything that just remotely looks like Cinder in this first circle.
I expect we'll see quite a lot of teams commit to the east side of the map, because we have seen quite consistent in these sort of circles. They either center up on those hills, or they tend to go east to the, sort of the southern area of Los Leones. And so if you can't get up onto the hills, you just sort of try and play your odds. You try and think, oh, where does this circle like to go? It likes to go east. So let's just commit to it. And, if we get the shift, maybe we're going to have a good game.
This is some very small steps Porto is taking. He doesn't want to give any sound cues away. He's obviously heard Lucarux, and this is just tinkle, 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 trying to sneak his way forward. I think he's hearing him now. See him looking around at least. Emil is down south. Emil had some really great bolt action shots over on Sanok last time, and I mean, if anything, that is something you for sure can bring over to Miramar. That is good, great bolt action play, great sniper play in general. That is very welcomed.
Yeah, it looks like Lucarux should be able to get away. No, he's going to drive the wrong way, and this should be a free kill here if he gets the spray down. Lucarux actually gets the knock, gets the flush as well. Now into a 1v1. There's a big misplay by Portatelli there. Lucarux, he spots the second play, gets back inside as well without taking damage, so he should be okay.
Yeah, did he see him? No, I don't think he did. Now he obviously realizes where he is. Shots for, oh my lord, that's some good connected shots there. Lucarux, Emil might be great with a bold action, but unfortunately, not even damage done on towards Lucarux, and back to Lucid, managed to secure themselves not only the first 2 points of the game, but also, well, a pretty decent compound in the circle.
Yeah, as soon as Lucarux got in that car, I thought he was dead to rights. Portatelli stepped out, and it just... I think the sheer reaction time of Lucarux getting out of the car, Portatelli was spraying the seat. There was just no one in it. And,
that's unfortunate.
Just got away. Is BB and Chica going for them? No, they're stopped.
I think they're just stopped
crash.
Scouting forward, staying on the southern side. Maybe see if they can spot something up there. Beamy, yet another player, talking for Emil just before. Another player with some pretty damn good bolt action shots every now and again. We'll see if that's what he's going to up to do here in duos, or if he's going to hop over to the DMR train that most people are riding.
Yeah, Trico as well. His teammate is absolutely insane. I remember I used to play with him a little bit in Frag League. He came in halfway through, joined our team, and in his first week with us, he had I think in 4 games he had 16 kills. It was absolutely insane.
That's
he got 11 on Miramar in 1 game, which we happened to win, mostly thanks to him. But he is a player that I've seen just do ridiculous things on this map. And if he can take what he can do in squads into duos, I expect they can have a really good night.
Well, we'll see. Cheese is going to go down. O'Connell finds him. Hesper. Oh, he heard Solon. That's a slow-moving vehicle. Tags him once. Tags him twice. There's actually 2 people in that vehicle. Hesper might be able to get some more shots off here. Solon took a bit of damage. Noki is the one that's down low. It's Trainhard. Well, 2 of the teammates of the Trainhard team that made their way into the PEL. It seems like they were on even one team straight into another. Hinoki actually blowing himself up with the vehicle. That's not what you want to have happen. And now trips and gets the flash on towards him.
I think he actually jumped out. Yeah, they crashed onto the building. He jumped out and slammed himself against the wall, I think. So
that's what
a little bit rough. And now Solar's down so low. 9 HP and a dream. Chips is going to prep the nade, but that's not the right place, mate.
I don't know if he saw him. Maybe it's a anticipation nade. He's going to spot him on the other side. Both down to low HP, but Tripson survives. Solar and Noki out they go. 2 teams eliminated early on, and you talked about it, how on Miramar, it's mainly rotation kills, at least for the first part. And now with Horseman, that's far up north. That's Ravens finding him, as Mega's off to a good start as well. First kill for him and the team who, I don't want to say surprised me, but they did better than I had thought they would on Sanok in terms of their fragging ability.
Yeah, I have seen the Ravens team do well in sort of the smaller tournaments, your open tournaments. But I've never seen them come against players that are your Contenders League and your Pro League and frag out. And the fact that they did that week 1, if that wasn't a blooper, if that was like a sign of what they can do consistently, then maybe they're actually favourites to be up there at the end in the finals.
And they're sitting in 3rd place right now with by a pretty good margin, the most kills. I think they have 8 or 9 kills coming into this game. 8 or 9 kills more than no tag team. So, oh no, yeah, first place team. So, so pretty decent situation for them to be in. Ewang sits over in the church. A very, I guess that's a compound that in this circle in particular is eyed by a lot of people. Oh, Chris, that's unfortunate.
You hate to see that. But yeah, the church is really nice. But the problem with it is it's very susceptible to being crashed. Because there is quite a lot of sort of angles that get cut off. The church doesn't have great vision unless you get on the roof.
Yeah.
And then you sort of get trapped. Unless your team is playing with you, you really can't support them if something happens. So it's a compound that, yes, is nice. But in duos, it's perhaps favoured a little bit less than the compound sort of to the south up on the hills.
Ooh, Scav finds one that strips and crying across the road. It's unfortunate. I'm not even sure where his teammate is. He's far down. That's Peter. He's all the way up towards the concrete building. You can see he's just exactly not in a position to provide cover for his teammate. He saw him. He saw his teammate, but he could not call out that Scav was there. It's just a little bit of a ridge line that he couldn't see him over.
I think that was one of those unfortunate scenarios where Tripster just didn't have a vehicle and was just trying to run over to his teammate and just gets caught out. It was all about who sees who first. But talk about who sees who. Axon's getting tagged up hard by O'Connell here.
Julius is there to help him. I don't think Julius was his teammate.
Presumably a sub.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't think Julius was O'Connell's teammate back on Sanok. So, so they've done some changes. Maybe just temporary changes. Could be for a game or two. I know. I'm pretty certain that that subs are allowed. To some
you're allowed 3 players on the team.
Yeah, exactly. So, so we'll see. We'll see if they're gonna stick together throughout the day, or if changes will come. New circle is about to pop. Is it going to be a Los Hijos circle? No. We're going back up north. Exactly to that area we just talked about with the whole slide uphill from the main road down towards Chumacero. And a lot of people have to now figure out which side of that do you want to be on.
I tell you what, if I'm Peter, I'm really liking where I am in the circle. On the sort of just north of Chumacero, the northwest area, there's a bunch of compounds that it's literally impossible to crash them because they're on sort of steep inclines. They have great vision, so you can shoot the cars as they drive up. So if you can get control of them and you do get those favourable shifts, they become really strong into those late game.
Also, you can use teams around you to your benefit. I mean, the fact that there's so many compounds in that area, if a team does decide to crash you, odds are that either the vehicle is about to blow up or they've taken damage already by the time you even see them. So it should be, I mean, I want to say 9 out of 10 times you will have the advantage in that scenario.
But there is also a bit of a catch-22 because there are so many teams. If you then don't get the circle and you try to drive out, the exact same thing happens to you, and you will get blown up. So it's a sort of a position you go for and just sort of pray you get the zone.
This is probably one of the most played areas of of Miramar when the circles go down in this direction. Ewing, unfortunately, is by himself though, so won't have the ability to play with a teammate, and I think what he's doing right now is completely correct, even though sometimes you say, oh, you're a solo, you gotta play safe and smart. He needs to make damn sure people don't come crash his compound because he's all by himself.
Realistically, he wants everyone to stay away from him because he's going to be at a massive disadvantage trying to play 1v2. But playing up on top of that church, you really sort of kite people. You know, the only way up is on that staircase.
Squishy found himself a knock on towards his Megas. Vac spots him in the air. Sicarus, what can you do here, Vac and him right next to one another? He does have the help from a teammate, and they're going to get both of them. Sicario and Megas, they do both go down. So despite them getting a good kill early on, not a whole lot more coming to it here in this game.
Yeah, it was a very unconventional way to push on to the final player there by Vac, but it worked out, so fair play. And now they've sort of opened themselves up. They have quite a lot of control of the sort of the northern edge of the map.
You can see Vanti looking over the top. 8x Car 98. That's not exactly a bad weapon to have. That being, of course, if you know how to hit people. Beamy does manage to hit Ruin. You can see them pushing around the side, pushing forward. But there's more teams around here. Him and then Macken, they're kind of pushing up on this one too. Yeah,
and we see it on Sanok more often that the third parties come in, but just the sheer amount of people on the map means that it pretty much happens on every map now.
Yeah, you think so. Oh, nade. Nope, they're going to roll a bit too far. Trico actually goes down. Supplies there to help his teammate. Does go down to low HP. Won't give his teammates a chance to get his meds back up. But Beamy is there. Finds the knock onto the first player. There's still one more around, though. Beamy needs to hold him off. He doesn't manage to do that. Ruin, despite going down early, does manage to get the kill. His teammate, though, flashed in the process.
And Mannon's on the way to get the flank. He's got a free spray down. Grabs the kill. Bye-bye, Royalty Duo.
Unfortunately for them, they go down, but they did manage to get themselves a few points to stay put in it. We'll see. I mean, again, center areas of the map worth fighting for him and the Mac, and they just secured that entire area around the compound to themselves.
Yeah, I really like the fact that they left the compound to take out the players there, because it's something that you don't see in squads that often on this map. There's often a bit more of a reserved play style, but we see it with Vac and Squeezy up in the north, and now with Macindark and Hemanin. They're just trying to exert a bit of pressure on the region around them, take a bit of map control, because it means that they're going to get shot less towards that late game, and they can sort of pick and choose where they want to go.
Circle once again down towards the church in the valley that Vasco and T-Bone find themselves in. Probably two of the more... I mean, I guess you can say you can put like a four-way string on Macindark's compound, Vasco and T-Bone's, Ewing, and Lucarooks and Ivas' position. Like, these four compounds in the very center are absolutely amazing, and whichever three of the teams will have to leave, at that point it'll be practically impossible for them to do so. Now we do see Pelsish. Oh, the vehicle, perfect cover in this situation, and they actually do get the knock return. Bob takes down Pelsish, but Spoof went down first.
The problem is Ballin is completely split off from Pelsish, so the res should be able to come in. I think the smoke is protecting Spoof, so the res are going to come in. They both going to be fine. Should be able to grab that point. And the only thing that's threatening you now is if Ballin can get down in time before the res, and I just don't think that's going to happen.
And not going to have Mauro finds Peter, so he's going to go down. So despite that compound actually being decent, he was on the edge trying to push further forward. Not going to happen.
This is a sort of map where coming in from the west is pretty much impossible, because you have the compounds on the edge, on the northwest and on the southwest. And Chumacera as a region is very hard to... It's very scary to go in. People try to avoid it because you have no vision whatsoever. But there are sort of 3-4 teams. It's essentially going to be forced in there.
I mean, it's easier to push south to north in Chumacera because you'll get the downhill vision. Oh, Ballin! I think they know where you were.
Yeah, Ballin tried to get a bit of aggression going on, but he was just too late to support his teammate. And in the end of the day, that's 2 points towards Spoof and Bob.
MJO and Marco trying to make vehicle rotations around that western side. You talked about being dangerous, and as much as it is, they are pushing up towards the hill, but they might be running into trouble once they do reach the city. Nepo, though, still running forward, should have plenty of room to rotate around.
I'm looking at this, and I'm really liking M47's position. Because, yeah, it is in a valley, so you can't do that much. But as long as the circle goes somewhat towards them, they have so much control of the area around them. It's completely open there, so no one can move down into that area of the map whilst they're in the compound.
When we talk about utility and when and how to use it, I think that nade was wasted.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to put it.
We know how valuable they are, especially in the late game when you get up close with your opponents. And yeah, I mean, you did still have 2 remaining, but you probably would rather have 3 coming into the next circle if there's some sort of crazy engagement you have to do. Yeah,
given the strength of nades, I actually think it's one of the biggest skill gaps in the game at the minute, is when you use your utility. I can't speak. Your utility. You know, you see the professional players know exactly when to use their frag to get the maximum damage, the maximum knocks, and they tend to use them either defensively to prevent a team pushing them, or when they know exactly where a player is, they'll throw 2 or 3 and just guarantee 1 or 2 knocks when they enter that gunfight. So I think that's such an example of... see you later, man. Potentially an example of one of the less well-known players.
Unless if you're Rumblers.
That's true. Yeah, then you just lob them whenever.
They threw, what was it? I think in semifinals in the group stage of PPC, they had thrown 49 nades without doing any damage. That's pretty much impressive in itself.
I suppose.
Yorkini and Sunka, vehicle rotations late in the game. Andre, nice taps down towards yours. Death Billum has to now try and do some sort of covering fire while his teammate is healing back on up.
That's a very speculative frag there, considering it was his last one. I'm curious about the decision to use it, but should still be able to get some tags in, but no, Death is going to get back into cover, and this push now becomes really difficult. Yeah. He's only got 2 smokes, so we can't really cut off the vision. And unless he can get a knock, which, to be fair, he's getting the tags. If he can get a knock, then the push can come in.
Damage is being done from the eastern side as well, but the Valley guys, I mean, they need to push forward. You can see what they're pushing into here. They don't have their vehicles. This is going to be, if not impossible, then something close to it.
Yeah, we just need to land 1 more bullet onto Billum. We would have got the knock, but no, not quite. And I think they have to try and go east. If they can get down the ridge, they can follow the road, and they're actually going to be okay. We see here now, there's a compound sort of on the southeast, but if they can get towards it, they should be all right. But it's going to be rough getting there. And if any of those teams on the southeast edge turn around, then I think you can say bye-bye.
Yeah, fortunately, Ben Q's team and El Giganten are fighting one another. Busters and Pusix, they have left the compound. They're pushing further forward. Queasy You can see alongside Vac trying to push forward in vehicles too, and this is exactly where they are right now. That's the hill we are talking about. Very difficult to get up if teams are waiting on top. Vac, full speed, sending it up the hill, trying to see what he can do with that buggy. And I don't think he's going to be able to drive for much longer.
But you see just how slow it is going up that ridge, and the amount of shots Spoof is able to land means that car now is going to be super low HP. And if he just happens to drive past someone, then he's going to be dead. But he doesn't make it to the rock, makes it to a bit of hard cover. I don't think he's going to be able to save his teammate, but just because he's just trying to save himself. But no, he does get knocked by Bob in the end.
Yeah, there's no risk coming in now, unfortunately. Fights are escalating into Macera as well. The teams forced to push in here have found each other. Msnik taking down MJ. Andre does go down. That's elsewhere on the map. And Marco now by himself has to make a hero play here.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough spot as it's also not in the compound, not in the zone. So it's going to be easier said than done to make it in from where they are. Has Vac spotted him? I think he has. One more bullet will put him down. Can't quite land the shots for now. There we go.
Finally, it's actually Meisters to take him down. Got both of them eliminated. Msnik found Marco as well, so multiple teams eliminated, and we have yet to make our way into placement points. Now, these 4 compounds we talked about earlier, still in play, and it seems like Himinen has gone down too, so Makendag actually defending that southeastern compound all by himself.
I'm surprised Ewang hasn't been crashed, just because of...
He's shooting all the time. We saw right now. He's shooting too.
It's working perfectly, but it's a compound that is so well known as being good that I'm surprised some of the teams that were in a really rough spot tried to get in. But I think that was an example of when we spoke about people that sort of, where you use other people to protect yourself. The fact that there are compounds just to the north meant no one could really make that push.
It's an uphill breach, and the only side you can really push it from safely is from the southeast, and there's no one on the southeastern side that wants to, has any reason to try and push that position right now. A lot, though, is going to come down to this next circle. Where are we going? We're going down south into the valley. On the northern side, are we staying on the ridge line up towards that church compound?
Yeah, I'm expecting we're going to see a lot of people die now because the circle does shift quite considerably. It shrinks down to about half the size, and goes fairly centre, so it's actually quite nice. But if we do head to the middle of the map, Ewang's actually left his compound. I think he noticed that a solo pulled up in the middle.
Yeah, he heard the vehicle from Sunka come up towards him. Sarah, nice shots over toward us. Gonna be able to find him. Down he goes. Billum is still alive, but he can't quite get his eyes on him. Has hurt the vehicle, though, and they're looking for him. Ivers sees and hears Hesper, too. Don't want to take the shots now. They do start shooting, but no damage done.
There was a bit of a timing there, where if one of those Western teams had got lucky, they could have actually snuck into the church compound. But,
probably could have, true.
Yeah, but obviously, we're the only people that could know that.
Yeah, so, it's not the thing you just crash for the sake of crashing it, because there's a lot of other places people will be able to see. Like, while you're there, all the guys from the Eastern Compound will be able to third party. It's just not going to be easy. Marrow, naded by Vanti. They need to make a push. They're not inside the circle yet, either of these two teams. Ribbons is trying to hold a safe angle, but Vanti wants the kills.
I love this aggression. They've sort of recognized how difficult their situation is. It's so hard for them to get into the zone. So they're just looking for those points, looking for ways they can sort of maximize their kill points and potentially push themselves closer to placement points as well.
Vanti wanted to get the kills, but now
Mice is going to get an angle on him.
Wow. Yeah.
I think he saw him just out the corner of his eye. Yeah.
Could have been a good flick. Not going to happen. He does have a bike, so not too much in a hurry. And they actually have the compound. Lokorux has decided to push out from it, and seems like he lost his teammate too. Now Lokorux is down to low HP as well. Hesper is doing a lot of damage. Scaff does go down, and it's out in blue. You're not going to get him, Hesper. That's a waste of a smoke, to be fair. Unless if a Scaff can crawl all the way to the circle, it's not going to happen. You see him over there. Lokorux wants to prevent him from getting anything done, and it's not going to happen. He in the circle is going to close in, and I'm unfortunate, but I don't think you're getting your teammate back up on your feet. Yeah,
there was more a hope and a prayer than a sort of an expected res there. I think Hesper's just going to go up on it. He has gone into a bit of cover. He is actually in the zone, and there's no frag on Lukrux, so maybe he should be alright.
He had 4 Molotovs. That's a little different than what we used to see in terms of which utility you prioritize, but I don't think he really did it out of choice. I think it was just he never really came across any nades, and if he did, he's probably used them already. And
I think this is the absolute worst map for Molotovs, because a lot of the fighting is out in the open. On a Wrangle, there's enough compounds that you sort of carry 1 or 2 maybe. And on Stanok, a lot of the gunfights happen around compounds, so you want to be running a few.
Did he get Scaff back up on his feet? Nope. He went down. He went and found him. Of all players,
he would have made it.
He gets him. Yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe. It would require for Hesper to crawl behind that rock, and Lokorux would probably have seen that.
And this is where we just see, because of how uncontested he's been in this compound, he's just been able to sit up there and just pepper people, just shoot constantly. I think he's got 2 or 3 kills already, where he's just stolen those knocks.
Curious to see the amount of damage he's done. Vasco and T-Bone hasn't been forced to fight too much. Lucas in their compound. Ooh, That's an interesting shift. Only 3 of 16 players are going to be inside it. And all the guys in the west have to move. The compound is going to be left, and you can see down N47, they're actually running out. I don't think they have any idea that Luke is there.
I think they killed Schluppy, so maybe they knew the crash came in. And it does look like they are turning around a lot.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they know something is
they're
up.
holding. They're waiting, yeah, for sure. You can see here they're expecting him to be somewhere behind the broken wall. And I like the fact that they push out first. Because as you can see here as well, they know that no one can play the ridgeline above them because Church is still in, so that's going to be contained. They know they're safe, essentially, where they're sitting. No one's going to be peeking them from above. And despite that, of course, they're looking anyway just to make sure that that no one's coming down. But I think they know that whenever or if they get the kill on towards Luke, they'll have that entire western side of the circle.
Yeah, Ewag's finally got a friend in this compound. Lukeworks has pulled up, and he's looking for it. But I think Lukeworks has to be aware that there's going to be someone here, just to how strong the compound is.
Whether you've seen it or not, you don't not expect there to be people. Oh, did they see him? Is he going to get 9 points? Yep, down to blue he goes. People try to find him, but not going to happen. Ewang gone down as well. Couldn't handle the 1v1 with Lukarooks. Lukarooks from the very start of the game has been a very, very, very efficient player, racking up quite a few kills. Spoof finds Vanti as well. Nate's coming in his way. 5 kills for Gamefrey as well.
And T-Bone got probably the worst crate he could get with a bar of DBS.
He did take the Gillet suit.
Yeah, it was better than nothing.
Yeah.
I think a DBS
Gillet suit with a lion's tail, by the way. That's going to be like a proper Wookiee, right?
So the new clothing meta. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try and push the church. Bye-bye.
That's so good.
They do have a possibility to cross that road if they have smokes. But it's going to be tough to get out of that position.
Macken's been spotted, he's been hurt, but a nice spray coming in, unfortunately. AB able to stay alive, try to smoke over his teammate, not going to happen, he's down to have HP. And, well, that's going to be Teggers down and out. 8 players left alive. Sunka and Billum and AB and Lukarooks, actually. 4 solo players in all of this. But the best and the M47 duo, last 2 teams left alive.
Sunka's in a really rough spot here. Spoof and Bob are so split up that there's just no cover left for him. He needs to find an initial knock. That's the only way he can win this gunfight. But one headshot onto Bob could actually turn it in his favour.
He is, right now, he's fortunate that Lukarooks ain't looking down this way. Ooh, 2 body shots. I thought one of them was going to be a headshot.
Well,
trying to go for the first aid. He knew he tagged him twice, so that would cause him to go down and heal. And actually, they timed the first aid perfectly. Both of them. Spoof has the angle on towards him, though, and that's going to be him down despite landing some decent shots with the SLR. Not able to get down Bob. And I think Bob actually had level 3 gear, or level 3 vest at least, and that, I think, helped him a lot through the damage done there. Vasco and T-Bone, well, you got to cross the road, guys. Question is where?
They should have a lot of utility based on the fact that they're in that compound.
True.
You'd expect that they're still going to have a fair few smoke grenades, so getting across the road shouldn't be impossible. In fact, it looks like they're already smoking it. So if they can get towards Billum, suddenly they have a lot of control of the map, really.
I would be surprised if they go that direction. The Lukarooks is up here. And if they can, like, that's a long cross.
No, but they do have the utility. We see they've created this bit of a smoke wall.
doesn't have any more smokes, though, and they're only halfway across to safety.
Once you get beyond this ridge, no one can see you bar Billum. So as long as they can get behind this bit of cover here, potentially if they can res and then get the knock onto Lukarooks, or get the kill rather, then it becomes completely open for them.
So Bob, oh, it's not Bob, it's Billum with Nate in his hand. We know Nate's mean danger. They're going to bounce up. They're going to bounce far. A little bit of damage done, but no knocks coming in so far. Billum knows where they are. No more Nates, unfortunately, though, for him. And right now, in 47, caught down behind this rock by Lukarooks.
Yeah, I think they have to commit to this to try and get the kill onto Lukarooks, or at least a headshot, because as soon as they get that damage, Lukarooks is going to be forced to back off.
Question is whether Lukarooks can actually help them out here by taking down Billum.
I don't think he's going to be looking. Billum's so passive, and there's an opportunity for those 2 points that he knows about. So they do need to move. It actually looks like they're going to go towards Lukarooks.
They're both going to commit. They have to commit to holding him off and then try to make, like, shoot, take 1 step. Shoot, take 1 step, and hope that they can make their way towards the circle. Billum is smoking off further up. You can see Lukarooks holding. Lukarooks is still inside in church, and they're double peeking him. This is a scary peek for him.
Yeah, he needs to try and find a way that he can isolate the 1v1s. And just based on the way they're playing, that's actually impossible. But now this might be it. T-Bone spotted. T-Bone goes down to Lukarooks. A perfect example of isolating the 1v1s. Gets them both. Lovely play by Lukarooks. 6 kills on his own.
That was very, very, very impressive, the way that he outplayed. Well, essentially outplayed them there. In all fairness, kudos to T-Bone and his teammate as well there. I mean, they essentially did exactly what they could. One runs, the other guy holds. Swap out. You start running, I hold. They constantly had to do the same thing. Unfortunately, Logarux outplayed them there.
Yeah, I think the only way that maybe they could have survived that is if T-Bone had just committed to dying in the blue and
holding,
and just hard scoped it and just tried to protect Vascu, and didn't quite work out in the end. But they're still going to come 5th, and they had a few kills, so it's still a pretty decent game 1.
Good game for them here in the first of 6 matches on the day on Miramar. He knows Bob is down behind that tree. That's one Molotov. Oh, he's seen Spoof as well. Spoof has seen him too, though. Now the issue is 25 seconds to go, and that circle's going to move. I don't think he's aware that Billum is over there. Actually, if Billum looked towards his side, he would have a perfect angle on towards Logarux, and it does spot enough. Oh, my lord, that's great timing.
Imagine if he died to full damage there.
That would have been pretty
The worst timing for Logarux, but no, he just about survives. But it's really tough for him now. He does have some smokes, so potentially he can push towards Billum.
No
and
best,
if he can get that knock, then maybe he'll be all right for now, but I don't really see a way he makes it into this zone.
Yeah, this is going to be really hard. A, B as well, staying alive on the northeastern side. Hasn't really been fighting that much since he took down the last remaining player out east. He's kind of just been making his way up around the northern side. I like the fact that he didn't try to push back in towards Billum. Yep, that's going to be Logarux down. Billum finds the kill, saying thank you, by the way, for holding out in 47. Let me just take you out here. Billum, a lot of damage thrown his way. Now Spoof with level 3 vest. Good chance of winning 6 smokes as well.
Yeah, you have to think that they're at a massive advantage right now, but I was actually sort of protecting Billum. They can't really cross the road at the minute just because of this position, so they need to potentially get some tags onto Ab and then use that to push the other player.
Ab doesn't know exactly where the final player is. He does know for sure that both the guys from Game Frame is over on the other side of the road, and I think those are the guys that he's trying to hold off, because there's no way Billum would want to push up and over that way either. Anyway, because Game Frame would shoot up.
Yeah, they're basically playing like a duo at this point. They're both trying to take down the running team. They know that the other player is a solo, so their biggest threat is Game Frame. So if they can sort of work together, as I say that, Ab runs dangerously close to Billum. But
I think he did it to back off from the other guys, because he saw them cross down towards him, and he's like, well, can you please at least just fight Billum first, and then I'll come third party afterwards. Spoof knows exactly where Billum is. They don't have any nades, though. You can see they're trying to smoke him off now to try and prevent the vision. And I think they know for a fact that A and B is up on that hill. I mean, they just want to make the play together. Actually, it seems like they're kind of holding each their player now.
For these solos, it's all about finding a timing where one of the players isn't looking their way, and they can get that knock. But it looks like Bob might actually be able to get the timing onto Ab. It's going to be tough.
Great spray down. 1 HP. What is it with 1 HP surviving in this game? It's got to be a thing.
This is bold by Bob to go for the attack, and he actually goes down because of it. He didn't heal and went for it on 3 HP, and 1 bullet from Billum did the work. But Spoof's going to spot him. Spoof's going to take him out, and the first win of the night with 9 kills goes to Game Frame.
Decent performance, to say the least, by Spoof and his teammate. And in all fairness, just go back to that 1 HP thing. We see it so many times. It's never 2. It's never 3 HP.
Yeah, it's always 1.
Always 1 HP. I don't know exactly how that works, but does happen. Billum, great performance by him. A little more on the passive side there in the late game, but was able to hold off people from his shack, and as well, Logarux, great playing and not only pushing up towards the shack of the church to begin with, taking out Ewang, but also holding off N47. They're very, very highly talented players.
Yeah, we saw he was refusing to properly hard pick them until T-Bone was in the blue, and at that point, T-Bone's choice was, do I die to the blue and maybe try and save Vascu, or do I try and make it in and play as a duo? And unfortunately, T-Bone chose to play as a duo, and that enabled Logarux to isolate those 1v1s and get both of them down.
Smart playing is the key to winning, and I mean, I guess you can say to a certain extent that it's easier to do smart plays in a duo because you have that less of a opposing force to deal with, and he did it smart.
Yeah, you have to think, if that situation is like 3 N47 players, then one of them will be dying to the blue. And because realistically, a duo making it in can still do some work. I mean, that fight probably never happens in a squads game.
Yeah, you would most likely not see that happen. No, that's true. Spoof, though, and his teammate, Bob the Best, are able to take home a win. And they had a pretty decent performance over on Sanark, too, so I'm excited to see where that's going to put them on the overall leaderboard. And also just a good start to the day. They were never really given circles, per se. They pushed smart. They knew the terrain they were working around, and when needed, they used their utility to try and hold off players when they wanted to push someone else. Overall, smart play.
Yeah, once they didn't get the zone, they just went direct. You know, they just started going through teams, and that's where they got the 9 kills. And the fact that they just consistently won those fights quickly without losing a player meant that when they got to the late game, A, they already had a lot of points from the kills, and B, the fact that they were both up, they had the utility from all the people they'd killed. They were suddenly in a really good position to win the whole game.
Smart plays coming out here in game number 1, guys. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be ready with game number 2 in just a few moments. Stick around. We'll be right back.